More former senators are now reacting to the 6-month suspension handed over to Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, the senator representing Kogi Central at the National Assembly. Some are of the opinion that a legislative house cannot suspend a member, as a member is not an employee of the house. According to critics, a legislative house cannot suspend a member of the house, as doing so will deny his constituents' representation as enshrined in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended. More so, according to Femi Falana, SAN, in view of the definitive pronouncements of the High Court and the Court of Appeal on the illegality of the suspension of elected members of legislative houses in Nigeria, the suspension of Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan is a height of legislative recklessness. The legal suspension, he argues, should be lifted without any further delay. Since the Federal High Court had restrained the Senate Ethics Committee from hearing the complaint against the embattled senator pending the determination of the motion on notice, the Senate ought to have stayed action in accordance with the rule of law. Joining us now on this show as we look at the 6-month suspension of Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan is Senator Adeseyi Ogunlewe, Nigeria's former Minister of Works and Housing and a former senator on the platform of the Alliance for Democracy, AD, in 1999 for the Lagos East constituency at the National Assembly. Good morning, Senator Ogunlewe, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning, viewers.
A cocktail of issues here. The Senate saying that it has the right under Section 60 of the Constitution to define its own rules and its own procedures. 2, the argument that this issue is not about sexual harassment, but that it is about gross misconduct. 3, the argument that the court had issued an ex parte injunction asking the Senate Committee on Ethics, Privileges and Petitions not to proceed with the sanctioning of Senator Uduaghan. And then the 4th part, the statement already put out there that there are established precedents, both from the High Court and the Federal and the Court of Appeal, showing that the Senate has no powers to either suspend a member or withhold salary payments to either a lawmaker or to the aides of a lawmaker. These are some of the principal things out there in the public, and I'm sure you are fully aware of them. But as someone who has been in that same Senate, what's your reaction?
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you, viewers. Yes. Well, it is not unusual for the Senate to make mistake. And we have a platform for senators in 1999 where we discussed this matter. And the structure of the Senate has provision to avoid this type level of mistake. We have the Committee on Judiciary and Legal Matters that could have been given the opportunity to review the report of the Ethics Committee so that they will not make this level of blunder. One could see clearly that they went on a frolic, and it was a self-serving report. They didn't believe that there have been senators before them, and what has been the reaction of the judiciary to this level of suspension. Natasha is the 6th senator to be suspended, from JKF Waku to Omar Gege to Ningi to Ali Ndume. And the court has frowned very vehemently to that kind of attitude. And they should have already known that what they are doing was just going on a heroic adventure, which could be prevented. And it is a pity. During our days in the Senate, we had elders, people who are old, who are mature, that this sort of issue should have been discussed in-house. Like the relocation of seats is normal, but it is not when a senator is entering the chamber that you now tell the senator your seat has been changed. it is totally administratively wrong. If you are changing a seat, which is okay, you will have convey this decision to the senator prior to the resumption of the plenary, so that I will have known that, look, as I'm going in, they've changed my seat, and the session account will now show me the new seat. But for you, it is unconventional for you to just enter the chamber like that, and somebody tells you, look, this is not your seat. Your seat has been changed. It is very unusual. It is a little bit of, somebody will be curious why this of this should happen at that level of responsibility. No, it is not right for them to take this decision. And Nigerians have seen that if Natasha goes to court, it is clear that you've gone outside your power and authority. You cannot strip the lady, the distinguished senator, for being a senator. It is not possible. It's not your responsibility. The senator was voted for under the Nigerian Constitution, and you are a minority. The majority in our constituency voted for her. How can you say they should not pay her salary? You are not the one determining her salary. It's the Revenue Mobilization and Allocation Commission that determines the salary of a senator. How does that not become your responsibility to say you will not be paid? Where constitutionally there is, under Section 111, a commission that is responsible for the provision of payment to senators. You say they should withdraw security. You are not the Inspector General of Police. That is the man responsible for deploying policemen to senators. So all these things they have done, honestly, they did it in a hurry. They should sit down and readdress it and make necessary adjustments. It cannot stand, definitely.
Thank you so much, sir, for this insight, especially from your experience. And I'm glad that for the last statement you made, where you said they were in a hurry.
Yes.
And so it would then pique the interest of a number of people that why the rush? If you want a due process to follow, why this happened in about 24 hours, despite the fact that there was a court order to actually suspend the proceedings, which maybe they said they were served, or the court had no jurisdiction to determine how the Senate operates. So I'd like you to speak to that. And also, this Order 10, can you give us clarity on it, which she raised after she was asked to move her seat? Some people have said, irrespective of the fact that she raised Order 10 on privileges, she ought to have gone to her new seat in order to have been able to raise an order. Is that true? Whereas she said that Order 10 gives her the privilege to be able to raise, even if she were sitting on the floor or anywhere, as long as Order 10 was raised, she ought to have been heard and then a decision made.
So honestly, that is neither here nor there. There must be order in the Senate. And she, out of inexperience, she exposed herself to that level of embarrassment. What normally she should have done was to run quickly to the seat and continue. But when you insist on talking from a seat not allocated to you, I think the Senate President has, authority to debar her from talking. But that Section 10 is so crucial that under any condition, if anybody raised that order, you must listen to the senator, but not when you are not properly seated. She should have just run to that place and talk. Nobody could have prevented her. But she shot herself on the foot by insisting on remaining at a position not allocated to her.
All right. And then the rush for the process is 24 hours, because you talked about that.
That is Nigerian factor. Now you have to rush to make sure that you achieve your aim. They know what to do. They know that they have to consult widely. There is a committee on judiciary and legal matters that should have looked at that and tell them this is not possible. This will be, rubbish by the judiciary, because there are precedents. How can you commit an offense? You know that it is against the law. You didn't elect the woman, and the way they were talking, it was total ignorance of the privilege of a senator to say she should not parade herself as a senator again.
No, it was not ignorance, it was bias. In fact, before that judgment was made, I had pointed out occasions where I saw bias in the ethics committee and I was correct.
How can you say a senator should not parade herself?
So it was biased. So in fact, let me also even tell you this, sir. Do you know, in order to be able to perpetrate their sinister act, they moved the day forward. They moved the time 30 minutes forward. And I pointed out that on air last week. I showed the bias, and I was correct. I just want to ask you, for us to start restoring, if there's anything we even call integrity of the Senate, because I don't think there is, what punishment do we mete out to a Senate Ethics Committee that was unethical? Unethical with point A, violating a court order. A Senate Ethics Committee of the Federal Republic of Nigeria violating a court order of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, brazenly saying that they will evade and discard that order, that it cannot stop them from their intention to perpetrate bias, unmitigated bias, which they ended up doing. What punishment should be given to the Ethics Committee?
We refer a lot to the Senate President. And one has no doubt that he was under influence. And
Who was under influence?
The chairman of the committee.
Was under the influence of who?
Of Mr. President, the President of the Senate.
Okay.
All these things are not done normally. It was predetermined, and they knew where they were going. And they put themselves into the eyes of the public as people who are not properly organized. You don't rush things that you know you show bias, will show that you are not really serious people. That is what they exhibited. That was no need for hurry. If they knew what they were doing, they should have taken more time. But well, it is unfortunate.
So what punishment do we give to the Senate Ethics Committee that became unethical?
It's in the good book of the Senate President. No, it's in the good book of the Senate President.
So would they just go scot-free?
That's not anybody
after
can do.
subjecting our Senate to this charade and show of shame by being biased and ethically unbalanced, and they are the charge of an ethics committee?
If this distinguished Senator Natasha goes to court, all these issues will be addressed, and it's left for the judge to condemn that kind of attitude, which they have done in the local constitution you cited, in the case of the Speaker of Bauchi against the House of Assembly member.
That's the Bauchi State House of Assembly versus Akpoti-Uduaghan,
yes,
which is a 2017 case. But okay, now the Senate is insisting that it can make its own rules. It says in a statement, even by Senator Bamidele Okoyemi yesterday, that look, this issue is not about sexual harassment, it's about gross misconduct on the part of a member of the Senate. I think we can't sit in judgment over this matter. Since the matter is going to go to court and it's within the rights of Senator Akpoti-Uduaghan to go to court, let the court decide what happens. But we were listing the various senators who have been suspended in the past. We listed about 5. The total with Akpoti-Uduaghan now will be 8.
Yes.
We left out Adeseyi. He was suspended at the time. We left out Senator Issa Mohammed from North Central. We left out Senator Femi Okunomu. So the total now will be 8. But I would like you to comment on this issue about sexual harassment. Is it the normal thing in the Senate that the men don't keep their eyes where they should place their eyes? You know, they are always looking at the female senators, even when we say they are very few. How about this issue about sexual harassment in the Senate or the National Assembly? And how serious, in your estimation, is it? And is it an issue that should still be addressed?
Well, my own experience, the female senators did not look at themselves as if they were inferior to men. They were even up to, if you even mention that Itagiwa is a woman, the response you are going to get will make you ashamed of yourself, because they will stand up to you. So, but the beauty of distinguished Senator Natasha is a problem to her.
How can beauty be a problem?
You know, men, when somebody who is pretty passes by you, your attitude will change. You can smile, you can wink, but you may not talk to her. But her beauty is a problem. There's no doubt about that.
How is it a problem, sir?
That's the question.
Why should her beauty be a problem?
To men, when she's passing, there's no way a man will not look at that woman.
No, their job is to go and make laws for the good governance
no,
of Nigeria.
You may not talk
not
to
to
her.
look at beautiful women.
No, it is a natural thing for a man to look at beautiful women. How can you be a man and a beautiful woman is passing and you close your eyes?
I think I have to see my optician. Oh. These my glasses may not be working very well. Because
it is inbuilt.
I see beautiful women every day.
Is that not misogynistic in itself?
Yeah, beyond that.
It may be, you might time it, but it is inbuilt.
Beyond that, Senator.
But let him deal with the question of sexual harassment.
Okay. All right.
So, it did not happen in the Senate. He said when she visited the home of Mr. President. So, and that is a different matter. So, don't let us relate that one to what is happening in the chambers. There is no harassment at all.
All right, so we
in
have
the
to
chamber.
relate it. And the reason why is because what she said was that as a result of her refusing his advancement, she was maligned in the Senate. So the consequences of what happened outside the Senate was bearing on her effectiveness as a senator. Because she raised the point that when she would raise her hand, she would not be recognized. And he had even told her that you know what to do when she had talked about a particular bill that she was pursuing. So sexual harassment does have an impact in the chambers. Beyond that, Senator Akpoti himself said that, when he was receiving the gift from the women legislative officers or his staff, that they're all beautiful women. Has he ever harassed them? So that excuse about the fact that because she's beautiful, she's now in danger. Maybe the suggestion would be that women who are beautiful should wear a burqa so as not to upset the men or to aggravate or to instigate harassment, as you have said. But he said himself that beauty is not a problem for him. He's surrounded by beautiful women and he has never approached them. So that's not the issue about beauty in his opinion. But I want you to talk about the fact that she mentioned that the actions that happened outside the chambers were affecting her job as a senator within the chambers. And that's why she brought the case forward.
There are psychologists who can be more, appropriate in commenting on this sort of issue. Me, I am not an expert in this area. So, sexual harassment in Nigeria, to my mind, is not a big issue.
Really?
Abroad, yes. In Nigeria, okay, when you are sexually harassed, you refuse. That's all. What is important there?
It's not a big
when
issue.
they wink at you, you
wink back.
You wink back.
So it's not
you shake your face.
So it's beyond winking. But so
I want to wink at you.
No, don't
wink
wink
back.
You're saying it's not a big issue.
Beyond winking.
Why do you think toasting a woman is a big issue?
No, it's beyond
It is not.
toasting, sir.
When you
harassment is
toast,
not
the
toasting.
woman will refuse.
No, that's not
sexual
sexual
harassment is not
harassment.
toasting.
With
What
due
is
respect,
different things.
I already explained what happened. Yes, you're right. If someone comes to meet you and talk to you, you have the right to refuse. But if the person who is in a position of authority then decides to use that as a weapon against you, it is a problem. And in many countries around the world, it's a crime. And it's either ways. If you withhold sexual favors from a woman who is a boss, and because of that she denies you promotion, doesn't allow you to do your work, in this instance, she has the right to represent her constituents. And if that matter is disturbing that, then she has the right to speak up. And so it's just like our daughters. If we had daughters who come to you and say that, Daddy, there's this man in my office, he's oppressing me, he won't give me promotion, I can't get raised because I refuse to sleep with him. That is sexual harassment. And so it goes beyond winking. It goes beyond, I'm talking to you. It is the fact that a woman has a right, or a man is disturbed as a result of not, if it's consensual, they are both adults. Yeah. But if as a result of me saying no, you refuse to accept the no, and then victimize me for that, that's a big problem, sir. Don't you agree?
I'm not an expert in that area. Let us call psychologists. There are people who have gone through this thing. But my own experience, a woman should be skillful to get her way through. A woman, she's an endangered species. And I know some of them that will get their way through no matter what you want to do.
Okay. I want to ask this question, sir. Please, with due respect, sir. If Senator Natasha Akpoti was your daughter, how would you react to all of this way she's been treated and these allegations of sexual harassment? If she was your own
I have a personal experience.
Okay, sir.
My sister's daughter was at a university in Nigeria.
Yes.
And she was being pestered by the lecturer.
Yes.
My sister went to see the lecturer and told him, look, this is the complaint from my daughter. Please leave her alone if you don't want trouble. And the man said, no, it's not. Just don't let it be. So there are ways of going out of that. Probably they say they are friends.
But in this case, you can now see that sexual harassment is an issue. At first, you said it's not an issue, but you now see that it was an issue in this country with your sister's daughter, and she took action. But what in this case, where there's nobody to call Senator Godswill Akpabio, because he's the Senate President #3 man, probably the only person that could have probably called him could be the #1 man in the country. And we have not seen, I might not have the facts, in this case where there's nobody that can go and warn the Senate President, as your sister went to do for her daughter's lecturer, what can be done?
In the Senate, every political party has a leader. And probably she could have reported to that leader, who will have approached the Senate President to discuss this matter. And there are ESCO too, executive of the Senate. She can approach them and they will call the Senate President attention to the complaint of the woman. Or tell her husband, let us go and meet your friend to discuss this matter. So the three of them should have sat down. Okay, look, leave my wife alone. What is your problem?
But sir, with due respect, that's what she did by taking it to the ethics committee. But they have now left the substantive case of investigating, which they have not talked anything about that. They are now saying it's because she had an altercation and a tiff with the Senate President before, we should suspend her. Because the same thing you are saying, that's what she has done. She has
they exhibited bias. They should have separated the two.
Sir, let me ask, what do you recommend as a way forward? Someone like Senator Saraki has been talking about integrity of the Senate, but what should be the next way forward? And to resolve all these crises, should we recommend to the establishment that going forward, beautiful women should not be allowed to go into politics? Because if beautiful women don't go into politics, I assume that men, the way you have characterized them, will not wink at ugly women. Since it's natural for them to wink at beautiful women. So let's just ban, perhaps, ipso facto, by your suggestion, beautiful women from politics. Is that a solution?
We have past president of the Senate, Saraki, David Mark, Lawan, Baros Ayim. They can get together and go and meet the Senate President. They are stakeholders in the Senate. And then let them talk to him, discuss with him, and then they will have a way. Everybody must look at himself as a stakeholder in this problem, particularly when you have been in the Senate before. Either you are a senator or you are the Senate President of the Senate. They should not sit down and criticizing on the pages of newspaper. They can form themselves into a committee and meet Akpabio, who probably is their junior. They should not put the Senate in this level of disrepute. It is not fair to all members who have been in the Senate before. It is unfair.
How about the problem with beauty? I return to that.
I'm not a beautician, but I know beauty is a problem of a woman.
It's a problem. Wow.
Yes.
All right. But so maybe you would recommend Dr. Batistan's that beautiful women stay out of politics.
No, go. But know your way out.
Okay. That's interesting. Women are now in danger too.
No. There are clever women. Women are skillful.
Okay.
A woman of 40 years is more experienced than a man of 70.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so beautiful women have sense.
Very much.
Okay. All right.
They must find their way out of the system.
All right. Okay, sir, that's in your opinion. But let me ask you very quickly, and I'm glad you talk about former Senate presidents who have a role to play in this matter because they have experience, they're older in terms of the years. Senator Bukola Saraki has spoken out and he's made his stance very clear that, as he did, he suggests or he would recommend that the Senate president steps aside whilst the investigation is ongoing, just as a matter of integrity. Would you agree with him?
That is normal.
All right.
And that will be one of what they are going to advise him to do. When this case comes up, you have to vacate your seat. That is normal. But they should not sit outside and be criticizing. They should form a committee. They are stakeholders.
All right.
In whatever happened to the Senate, they've been there before. They should not allow that institution to go down the drain like this. They have to sit up and go and meet Mr. The state president and discuss this matter. That can be solved together.
Okay. Real quickly, I just want to also ask one question. In your time in the Senate, was there any form of, high-handedness because a man felt it's higher than women? And how did the Senate then deal with matters like this? Misogyny, as it were.
We have a committee of elders, people who are old, who are experienced. They will not allow the Senate to go into this sort of mess.
And you say there are not enough elders in the Senate as we speak today?
I don't know. I don't know their experience and exposure. But in any institution, don't allow this sort of thing to happen. If you are elderly people, what are elderly people in a community for? You don't sit down. You call yourself, look, let us talk about this thing. We are not talking about us here. We are talking about Nigeria. What is going to be the opinion of Nigerians about this institution? We cannot allow this institution to go down the drain. Look at what is happening now. It's everybody, but look at 13 of them did not sign. But they did not protest properly.
But a lot of people also said there's a level of unfairness, and I'm proving to you. There's been videos making the rounds of the current First Lady when she was in the Senate, that she too stood her ground firmly, but very brazen in some cases. But nothing happened to her. Is it probably because she had a man in her life that was a strong man? Do you think if Natasha's husband was a strong politician too, Senator Natasha was a strong politician, all of this will happen to
anybody that knows distinguished Senator Remi Tinubu will know that she was a teacher. And you don't mess up with a teacher because she will mess you up too. So you cannot go even near that kind of woman because she will stand up, it's just like Itagiwa. They will stand up to you as a man. So it depends when you look as if you are a female and you are less than a man. That's when it takes.
So why is the Senate now suspending Senator Natasha Akpoti for standing up as a woman?
It was biased.
Okay, so they are wrong.
They are very wrong, of course.
Very good.
Okay. They went, something that they should have managed better.
Okay, I want to believe that Senator Akpoti's husband is also a strong man. Men have relative strength depending on your area of operation. Well, I'm sure he's also strong in every respect. But this is a question. What came up over the weekend was the Minister of Women Affairs saying that President Tinubu is going to wade into the matter and that the executive is going to call the parties involved and they will find a way of resolving the matter. Should it be the responsibility of the executive arm of government to inquire into a matter like this on the floor of the National Assembly?
My own, suggestion is for the president to invite a committee of past president of the Senate to talk to them. I think it is more respectful if they go to that avenue, not the president talking to them. He can instigate the past president of the Senate, the other senior member who participated in the Senate around. He can call of them. I think Akpabio will listen to those people a lot more because they will be talking from experience because they've been the Senate president before.
So in other words, the Minister of Women Affairs has no role in this matter.
Totally.
And she's wrong to have expressed the view she expressed.
That is our own interpretation.
Okay.
But my own interpretation, let it be a Senate affair. Let the distinguished past senators, elderly senators, retired senators to come together and go, because we can enter the chamber and talk. Once you are a senator for life. So they are not going to be strangers if they allow them to enter. They can enter the Senate and discuss. Nothing will happen. They can talk on the floor of the Senate. They can close the door and talk to themselves in an executive session. A senator is permitted to do so. So they are not outsiders. Let them sort themselves out with past Senate presidents, elderly Senate people, members of the Senate, they will iron out the matter easily.
Okay, thank you. I like that you sound very passionate about upholding this institution that you were once a part of. And a number of former senators who served, like you said, well, once a senator, always a senator, have come out to speak in defense of the institution. And from what you're saying this morning, you're not quite happy with what looks like it's descended into disrepute. How can we begin to restore the dignity of the Senate again, of this institution, which is the third arm of government? What are some of the measures that must be put in place? Would you talk about the leadership, the kind of leaders that we have there currently? You talk about elders. Should we also look at the recruitment process of these members? And then the makeup of the Senate in itself. Currently, we have just 4 women in the Senate chambers. Would you recommend that we should be looking to have more so that there's fair representation? And this thing you said about not understanding sexual harassment, at least if there are more women there, there will be more education for members who perhaps do not understand fully what it means, so that then they're able to make a better decision around this.
The system of politics that we are operating does not give room for people who are competent but have no money to survive in this type of election. In an election which is constituency-based, small constituency, then go into electoral college. It's cheaper, it's more dignifying, a woman can fight. But for a woman to fight to be a senator in Nigeria, we are talking about 50 billion naira to start with. So where will a woman get that money? It's too expensive. Yes.
No, women do have that money.
Then if you have money, go into it.
How many women has got 50 billion?
Some women have it, and and people don't use their money for elections as well. You get support from people who believe in your cause. Men do it as well.
Can they pay back?
50 billion.
What do you mean by
the problem,
back?
you have to pay back.
How do you pay
if
back?
If they give you loan.
Oh, is it a loan?
Yes.
So how do you pay
back? If you are there, I'm a company.
Okay.
Are you going to talk about my interest in that Senate so that I can get more contract? Can you put my name in the budget? When you talk about budget padding, it is part of an arrangement before they got there. I'm a company, I'm a contractor, and I want you to be in the Senate. So when my project come to the floor of the Senate, you make sure that money is there.
Okay.
So I don't suffer. So all sort of people participate, but it is not cheap at all.
No, but I want to just probe that, sir. So does it mean that the people who we currently have, at least the style of election that we have currently, is not representative of the people?
At all.
It's only representative of interest. Of interest, and how do we? But that's what I'm asking. How do we make it better? Because that's why we are here.
Make it a parliamentary.
Okay.
So that your constituency is small, and you can afford to pay. You are a professor. You are intellectual.
Yeah.
You are very good, but you don't have money. But you can survive within a community. Yeah. When they now elect you, you now compete in a collegiate matter. Okay. But if it is the way we are now, honestly, a sane person will not waste his money in politics.
Okay, I would like to come back to that, your 50 billion quote. How practical is it? Because, it just looks as if we just throw figures. Do we know what 50 billion naira is in this country that it is today? And I would like to interrogate that quote further. So are you saying that probably everybody there had to expend that level of money? Because if I have 50 billion naira, I wouldn't be in the Senate. I'm sorry, with due respect. Because if you look at even your yearly allocation for a 4-year term, probably out of the budget you get about 1 or 2 billion. You don't even make up that 50 billion in return. Or is there any other thing they're making that you want to tell us? Tell us, sir. Tell us.
Skill. You have to be skillful to survive in our parliament.
Skill, corruption?
No, you don't call it corruption.
So what is it?
But skill, we call it skill.
Skill.
You have to be skillful.
How do you?
I don't know.
How are you skillful to make?
I don't know. What I'm just saying.
No, I would like to know.
Our electoral system is too expensive.
Yes, granted.
For decent people, you cannot borrow money. What I'm saying, you cannot borrow money for an election. You can sell your property for an election. You can steal money for an election. But a sane person will not be a businessman, and from your profit, you say you are going to politics to waste it It's too wasteful.
Okay, sir. Now, we have electoral laws in this country, and there's something about campaign finance.
Yeah, got it.
There is a cap on election campaign spend, you know, and there's nowhere in the relevant sections of the Electoral Act that 50 billion is earmarked. If you spend 50 billion naira to go to the Senate, then to become president, you probably need 100 billion
More than that.
naira.
More than that.
Well, so I'm saying that this is not what the law says. Are you saying that in terms of practical politics, nobody obeys the law on campaign finance, and that Nigeria is unable to track campaign spending and punish people who spend more than what the law prescribes?
You will not know.
Sir?
You will not know because there are no vouchers. There are no receipts. Politics money, you don't get receipt. You don't get voucher. Who is going to determine how much I spent? Somebody is in my house, I want to bury my father. Take 1 million naira, no receipt. Want to do this thing? It is wasteful. From experience, it is not for it is too wasteful. Unless you are a wasteful person. Because you are in that, if you live in a community and want to contest election, everybody will come to your house for one thing or the other, and you have to oblige. Look at, there is Christmas. How many lorry load of rice must you share? Where will you get the money from? And that is the expectation of people. Not you go into the legislature and say, I've done this road, I've done this constituency. That one doesn't make sense. It is what we are going to shop that is important.
Shop.
Give us something.
All right, this is quite worrying, even though I don't think it's new to a lot of people that what we now see in politics and perhaps in the National Assembly and other State House of Assembly is chop assembly, whereby people are just there for their own personal interest.
No.
Okay?
I'm saying to get there is expensive. To even be a councillor is expensive.
Yeah.
Not to talk of you want to be a governor.
Yeah, but you also talk about the fact that they have to repay those who invested in them to get there in the first place.
It's normal.
Okay.
I cannot borrow you money to win an election, and I will keep quiet. Look at Elon Musk now.
So that's still chop.
Elon Musk gave how much? $1 million.
200 million, over 200 million.
So that's what is
shopping back now.
Yes.
Yeah, but
Elon Musk is doing shop.
Yes.
No, but there's a difference between enacting or formulating policies to enable business environment to favor a businessman and actually, like what you said earlier,
That is exactly
padding
what
budget.
happens in
That's key.
Nigeria.
But then there's also a difference between actually padding budget.
You are a banker.
Yes, sir.
You want favor from a government. You are not going to hold meeting. Which of these candidates will favor us? You hold meetings and you give money to, but the level of money you are going to give will be different. You will target one that is of the same mind with you and give them your money. Immediately you get there, they will surround you. They determine policy to favor them.
So where is democracy in all of this?
Democracy in Nigeria is money.
Moneycracy.
Yes.
It's
Well, that's a
government
very
of the
valid
money.
point.
Yes.
Moneycracy.
By the moneycracy, government of the money, for money, by
A
money.
poor man can never be a politician in Nigeria. Forget it.
Okay, another question I would like to now ask you. So if you were banning a sum of 50 billion, like how much? Because you were very active in this last presidential election. Like how much did your candidate spend?
No, things have shifted.
No, I'm just
honestly,
asking. If
in
you
the
said,
past in Nigeria, let
yes.
me be a little bit more explicit. When you had UPN, SDP, you had Action Group, NCNC, things were not as expensive. Your agent in your polling booth will not get money from you. But things are so bad now that if you don't pay your agent, he will sell the vote
So
on that polling booth.
No, I get that. The question I'm asking is, if to get into the Senate, somebody spends about 50 billion, then like the presidential candidate supported, like how much do you think they might have been spent?
I don't know, but you can multiply it now throughout Nigeria.
50 times like 5 or 6?
You cannot estimate it. It's too expensive. Very, very expensive. Very, very.
Okay. Sir, what do we do to correct this situation? The objective of having a democratic system of government is not to turn it into a cash and carry enterprise where some people invest, they get return on investment, ROI, as they call it in business classes. What do we do? Because the way these Nigerians are, even if you adopt a parliamentary system of government, we're so used to this stomach infrastructure, cash and carry, return on investment way of doing business, transactional politics. How do we address it? Where will these new leaders that will come and serve and not chop, where will they come from?
It's a difficult question. Things are really bad
So
for this
Nigeria is
country.
doomed then.
We are not doomed, but I don't know the answer. Because maybe the level of our poverty, the poverty in the land is not helpful. The policy of government is not also helpful. You know, where the populace is happy with a government, it's easier to persuade them to vote. But where majority of the populace of the electorate, they are poor, and it is on the day of the election that they reap their profit for the 4 years. Believe it or not, on the day of election in this country, if you are a poor person, you cannot win. It's impossible.
All right. Thank you so much for the insight there. So very quickly, I'd like you to share your projections for 2027. A lot is now coming up. There are conversations around some key members of the APC cross carpets into other parties. There are conversations around your candidate, the president, not being very popular in the north. There are people coming out. Is this still going to be a moneycracy in 2027? And based on that, what are your projections? What should we be looking out for in terms of 2027?
How many years ago I came here to predict that the master is coming? The master of the game is the president of
They
the...
predicted like that in Kenya. They said that David was coming.
My dear,
They are calling him Zacchaeus now.
my dear, take it from me. The master is on the game.
How about the Atiku mega coalition?
There is nothing like that.
So it will not work.
They are working with the master, and the master knows the game.
So who is the master?
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
Is the master of the game.
Yes.
And we,
Okay.
you know.
He will win.
On that.
Anyway, I just
Flat.
got a message from an honorable, a
Yes.
lawmaker that said you are 100% correct. It's moneycracy.
There is no doubt.
Yes, you are correct. Thank you, Baba. Thank you, sir.
On that note, we'd like to thank you very much, Senator Adeseyi Ogunlewe, for joining us on the morning show.
It's my pleasure.
Quite an interesting expose on the political politics of Nigeria.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
I'm
indeed.
so grateful. Thank you.